when it's some next random aunties, neighbours, dogs, pet owners. Wait. Do you know what? There's so much I could talk about this. I need to make sure I stick to a structure here because I could just go off on one. Welcome back to my channel. So as you can see from the title, today I am back with another Let's Talk video. So when I asked you guys like what kind of videos you want to see in the Let's Talk series, so many of them were centered around kind of like the Asian demographic and struggles that we kind of face being Asian, which is understandable. So I am hitting it with a big one today. It's quite a broad topic, so bear with me because I can't really go into so much detail because it is quite like an umbrella topic. But if there is anything that I speak about today or which is related to this that you want to see like a video dedicated to in more depth, please, I am all ears. Just let me know down below, drop me a DM, anything, and I will definitely work on that for you. But today I'm going to be talking about dealing with the pressures of Asian families. Something that if you're Asian, I'm sure you know the struggle. Like I'm sure, I think regardless of whether you're like Indian, Pakistani, Bengali, like whatever, I think this is something which is so universally identified, right? And it's something that we've all, we have all had our moments where we have faced this and been like, how am I gonna tackle this one? How am I gonna tackle this one? And do you know what? That's normal, and I think that it's something that we should talk about because we're all in such a similar boat with this, but it's like we don't really chat about it enough and we can help each other out with this. Do you feel me? So I have, as usual, you know how I do this, I have made some notes of things that I want to cover and we're just gonna chat about it. We're just gonna chat, talk about the struggles, and then I've come up with a few different things that I feel kind of like helps to manage that a little bit. Alright, so let's hit it with the headline, yeah? High expectations. You felt that one, innit? Yeah. I think this is probably the main kind of thing, I don't know what that was, it's like the top point which is going to be the center of this entire video. We as a demographic, as Asians, it's just kind of been passed on, I think, generation to generation. Our families in general have a lot of expectations for us which are very high, whether that be like in terms of career or family expectations. I feel like every kind of aspect of life we're expected to just be above and beyond, and to say the least, that is a lot of pressure. Do you know what? There's so much I could talk about this. I need to make sure I stick to a structure here because I could just go off on one. I think one of the things that's important to kind of think about is to kind of understand our parents or the older generation's perspective on this, because we are all in a situation, yeah, majority of us, I'm guessing if we're in the same generation, yeah, majority of us have had a bit of, we've got an experience that none of like our parents or their parents have really had, and I think it's the way that we have been brought up with a mix of like Western culture but also our traditions. And I think finding that balance and being able to make yourself happy but also not feel like you're letting down like your family, which is obviously quite a big burden. I think striking that balance is something which is really difficult, and it's something that we don't really chat about, but we all, I'm sure we've all felt it at least like more times than we can count really. I'm sure we have all felt that struggle, because do you know what, like I think we don't give ourselves enough credit for the fact that it's really hard to strike that balance. Okay, I'm talking quite generally here, but let's just say a lot of people in our generation were born in like in the Western world, right? Whether you guys are watching this from the UK, US, wherever. Like for example, so I'm Indian, I'm Gujarati. Both my parents are Gujarati. They were both born in Kenya, right? They were both born in Kenya, and they came here when they were kids. I mean, it was different ages between like my mum and my dad, but as they were growing up, still relatively young-ish, but enough to kind of have memories of like back home in Kenya. And they had like the brunt of that first adjustment. Do you know what I mean? Like growing up, like having the start of your life being in Africa and then coming here, but then also being Indian. Do you know what I mean? Like that's a lot of things to kind of juggle. And when you think about it, like that's a lot of credit. Like, do you know what I mean? Like even our grandparents, like to think their generation making that move to come here, whether it's your grandparents or your parents, for me it's my grandparents, that move here, that is such a massive adjustment. And I think that we don't really think about it enough in terms of giving them credit for raw. They really just picked up and left and started from scratch. Imagine that, started from scratch, like in hope for like a better life, right? But I think we're the first generation that are struggling a little bit in terms of the expectations and the upbringing side of things, because we have our traditions and we have the old school side of things and our culture, you know, like our raw culture, what we've been born into. But then all our lives we've known Western culture, and often the values and expectations of the two can clash, and they normally do clash. And I think it's just very, very difficult to kind of navigate through that and find a happy medium where you're happy and your parents are happy and you don't feel like you've got this constant pressure. And I think that takes some trial and error, and obviously it's different for everyone's circumstances, but there are a few universal things that I think we should kind of acknowledge or just kind of take into consideration and just remind ourselves of, because it's easy to get lost in that pressure. So I think one of the things, as I said, it's very important to understand the reason why the older generation kind of have this high expectation for us, and why we kind of feel that pressure from them. Because if you think about it from their perspective, like we are so blessed and so lucky that we have so many opportunities to us which they did not have. They couldn't have even dreamed of the opportunities that we have available to us now. And we have so, like, even just simple things, like things that are simple to us, like the ability to study, like education, the opportunity to go to university. Like my parents didn't have the opportunity to go to university, but me and my brother were privileged enough to be able to have that opportunity and both went to uni. So things like that, that is normal for us, to them is such a big deal. And I think it's important to remember that, because they just want for us better than they had available to them. So when all these opportunities are given to us, of course they're our number one cheerleaders, right? They're naturally going to want to push us towards the most rewarding, the best, the top of the top, naturally, because they want to see us make use of everything they wish that they had. So I think in terms of, let's say, let's take the career side for starters, yeah? Obviously, I think it's no secret that in general, Asians are often, there's that reputation, there's that stereotype that Asians always fall into the professions, right? Whether it's like a doctor, a dentist, whatever. It's normally something which is a very academic profession, and that has just kind of become the norm for Asians. And I think that it's incredible. I think that that is such an amazing accomplishment. Just, do you know what? For us, our demographic in general, to be like, we're associated with such like a high, what's the word, like such a high level of execution for everything that we put ourselves towards. Like we are able to nail it, like the top fields, the hardest fields, like we are known to almost dominate that field, you know? Like that's amazing, that's amazing. But obviously some of us can feel the flip side of that, which is the pressure to kind of feel like you've got to go in that direction when there are so many opportunities now, and the opportunities that we have aren't just things like professions. They've now like completely expanded. Like, sorry, let's take me for example. Look at what I do. I'm sitting here talking to a camera. Do you see what I mean? Like, okay, so the field I'm in is so creative. I'm a makeup artist, I'm a YouTuber, I do social media. Do you see, like, it's so creative, but it's still such an incredible opportunity that is available to me that my parents would not have had available to them. Even just as times have changed, it wasn't even a job that probably existed, this side of things, the YouTube side of things. And obviously makeup artistry is artistry. Do you know what I mean? It's creative, it's all creative. It's not a doctor, it's not a dentist, it's not a lawyer. It's different, but it's still an incredible opportunity that our parents' generation didn't have available to them. But we've got to remember as well that when our parents or our grandparents kind of made that transition in their lives to kind of come here to want a better life for us, they made what they have now and what we have, like, we have it all through them, and they kind of worked from the ground up. So they put in all the labor, all the hard work. So they want to see us live an easier life than they had to. So it makes sense for them to want us to go for, like, you know, the top professions and the high-flying jobs and things like that, because they want us to be able to have a stable career, a comfortable life where we don't have to worry about, like, the next bill that's going to come through. It's natural and it's normal, and I think we need to remind ourselves sometimes that that all comes from a place of love. And it's hard to remember that when we feel the pressure and we're brought up in this world and we don't know that struggle because we didn't experience it. It's easy to focus on the, but why are you pressuring me? I'm going to do what I want to do. But it's also important to remember that it's coming from a good place, and it's coming because they want the best life for us. It may not be the same idea of the right life that we want for ourselves, but ultimately your goal and your parents' goal or your family's goal is the same. It's literally for you to just live a happy life. That is the ultimate goal, which is a common ground. That's what everyone in this scenario wants. But it can just be that there can be a little bit of disagreement in terms of what would lead to that, because of the experiences in life that they've had compared to the experiences in life that we've had so far. So I think acknowledging that difference and understanding where it comes from their perspective is really important when you're kind of like taking this head on, because it's so easy for us to be like, you are controlling me, let me go, like, let me do what I want to do, like, relax. And I think that just leads to more confrontation and conflicts, and no one wants that when this is all coming from a place of love, you know what I mean? But having said that, because of everything that I have mentioned, we have some very big boots to fill, and I think that growing up with that pressure is a lot. It can be difficult. I feel very lucky in the sense that I don't feel like I felt that pressure so much. I've always been a creative kid. My parents are very open-minded, as I've mentioned in many videos before, as I've spoken about, like, my upbringing and my parents. So I've not felt it directly from my parents, which I feel very fortunate for. It's always something that there've been conversations, of course there've been conversations about it, but I've never felt like a suffocating pressure from them. Does that make sense? It's been a healthy level, which I'm grateful for. It just came from concern. I think that universally as a demographic, we do face a lot of that kind of pressure to kind of live up to that expectation career-wise, and we're always expected to be an academic. But do you know what, like, the creative field is up and coming, and there are so many different avenues within, like, creativity which can lead to so much success, like respect in an industry as an individual, like genuinely making such a massive impact on the world and on people and on different industries in the world. That can all come from creative. And also being able to be financially stable and comfortable, which obviously is something that our parents are going to be concerned about. It's all possible now, but we have to remember that back then that could never lead to the kind of successes that it can lead to now. So we have to also remember to be patient, like, and try to kind of explain it if, you know, the older generation or our family don't completely understand that you can get major success from something that's not down the academic route. And because it's kind of like, it's not necessarily going to be 2 + 2 = 4 for them, because it's not what they're used to. It's not the life that they know, but life is obviously changing. The world is evolving, opportunities are changing, opportunities are uncovering themselves that didn't exist before. And we need to not expect them to always be able to keep up as quickly as we are being introduced to it and we know it. Having said all of this, there are some traits within, I think, the Asian demographic like, you know, within our culture, which can be really toxic. And I have mentioned this particular trait before. You probably know what I'm going to say before I say it. Always stressing about what other people think. We are notorious for doing this. It's always, oh, but like, what are X, Y, and Z gonna think if you do this? Or what are they gonna say if you do this? Or if they see you doing that, what are they gonna say to them? And then how's that gonna make us look? It's always about what other people think, and it's not, what do you want to do? Or like, what do I think? Like, I understand when it's immediate family, when it's people very, very close to you that you love and care for so immensely, and they're your circle. If it's them that have a problem with something that you're doing, yeah, okay, that's a whole different thing. When it's some next random aunties, neighbours, dogs, pet owners, nephews, dogs, brothers, brother-in-law, like, who cares what the dog's brother-in-law thinks? I think that this is so common, and it's such a toxic thing that is just consumed within our culture, which is just, yeah, but whenever you ask, like, but why can't I do this? Because what are they gonna say? What are they gonna say about them? What are they gonna say to them? And how's that gonna get back to us? And then they're gonna chat shit about us, and then what's that gonna... I don't know about you lot, but I don't have the headache for that. And I think that that is one topic which our parents or our family can easily get kind of like caught up in. And I think because we were never kind of raised in that, we see that, and I think it's one of the main things that gets to all of us. I think I can speak for a lot of you guys when I say that. It's something that gets to all of us, and I think it's a very toxic trait, but we have to also understand that it's just the way that things were before, and it's just not like that now, so that's gonna cause a natural rift. But I think it's important that we don't buy into that we cut that trait there. Like, it can end with us. Try and think of it in that way, like in a positive way. Like, that is something, that is a flaw in mentality, but it can end with our generation. It can end here, and we don't have to adhere to that, right? At the end of the day, you need to remember that you're living your life for yourself. You're not living it for your parents, you're not living it for your family, you're not living it for your culture, you're not living it for anyone other than you. I'm not saying you don't need to take them into consideration. Of course you do. You're always going to think of the people that you love, what they want for you, the life that you're able to give them too. But essentially, as cringe as this sounds and as cliche as this sounds, you get one life, and you can only live that doing what you want to do for yourself. You cannot live it to fulfill what other people want for you or what other people want you to be. You need to listen to your gut. You need to know yourself truly and follow what you feel like you are meant to do and what you're meant to be. You can't be influenced by other people that even don't necessarily have a say in your life, especially some next random auntie's dog. Like, you can't let that influence what you choose to do with your life and who you choose to be, because otherwise you're going to live in resentment. In future, you're just going to be unhappy, and essentially the only thing that anyone wants for you, anyone that really loves you and cares for you, the only thing that they want for you is to be happy. And you are the only person in this world that will know what will make you happy. Everyone close to you can think that they have an inclination and they can know what makes you happy, and to an extent, yeah, they will know what makes you happy. But at the core of it, you are the only person that knows what will make yourself happy, which is why you are the only person that can make these decisions. Of course, there's all these things that you need to take into consideration. Your culture, your upbringing, your parents, your beliefs, your values, your morals, your parents' values, their morals. But at the end of the day, you need to take all of that into consideration, but listen to what your gut is telling you and listen to what you want to do and what you believe. I think we are the generation of dreamers, and we go for what we want regardless of how risky or what unpredictable it might be. We go for what we want, and that's a beautiful thing, but that also scares our parents, that scares our families and the older generation, because they just want to protect us. They want to make sure that we're good. And when we're going off chasing unicorns and rainbows and buckets of gold at the end of rainbows and shit, like, they don't have that control to protect us. So I think that it's important that we still stay focused on those dreams, because otherwise we're not going to be happy and we're not going to get what we want from life. But at the same time, bearing in mind that we have to also give our families and that generation a kind of peace of mind by knowing that we're sensible going into it. We're not throwing caution to the wind, we're taking everything into consideration, but at the end of the day we're still following what we want to do and what our heart tells us we should be doing. I know that I've spoken a lot about career and profession because I feel like that is it's just such a massive topic within this, but obviously there are so many other aspects to this, because I think the expectations of marriage and things like that are also very, very heavy burdens. If you guys don't know, I have done a video talking about dating outside of your religion, your ethnicity, and the struggles with that. That was one of my previous Let's Talks, so I will link it in the description if you've not watched it. If you want to see more in terms of personal life for marriage and love and all of that kind of thing, you can go ahead and check that video out. But I do want to touch on it in some aspects, because I think that it does relate to this. I think in terms of marriage and having a family in general, regardless of the person and all of that, because I covered in the other video, but with that aside, I think that it's very difficult, and I'm gonna make a bit of a generalization here. You can beef me on this, because I know that this is slightly more on the controversial side, but I feel like women get this part of the brunt a little bit harder. I think that because now women are raised to be career-minded, and our own families, our own parents, you know, they want us to be doctors, dentists, whatever, a profession. They want us to be self-sufficient, to be able to go for a high-flying career and nail it and be amazing in the industry. They want to brag about us. They want that life for us, right? But the expectations that we as women have for our home life hasn't changed. So we're now expected to do what the man was expected to do, and also what the woman has been expected to do. Not saying that the man doesn't have to do anything. The man is also expected to do the same kind of stuff. Like, the man is also still expected to, you know, get that job, get that career, which is gonna allow him to look after his family. Because essentially, when it gets to like getting married and stuff, the bride or the girl's like family are gonna want, like, in an old school way, they're gonna want the potential husband to be of a stable financial, you know, whatever basis. They're gonna want him to have like a good academic stable job to be able to look after their daughter, right? So obviously there's that same pressure that is applied to them, like, you need to be able to provide, you need to be able to do this. So I'm not taking that away from the man at all, because that's a lot of pressure, don't get me wrong, that is a lot. And the woman never has that side of things of like, you need to provide, it's all on you. But at the same time, women are now expected to be still up there alongside men in a career-wise. Damn right we should be, by the way, feminist in me just jumping out, but like, as it should be, not complaining about that whatsoever. But there is also the added like side of things that in tradition, you know, the woman is supposed to be at home, the woman is supposed to be like the housewife, to clean, to cook, to raise the kids and look after the husband in a home sense. But then what, also have the 9-to-5 job? How are you gonna, how are we supposed to do all of that? And I think that's a lot of pressure, because then it's like, oh, but you need to make sure you know how to cook. Can you make like traditional like food? Can you make that for your husband? And can you make like a different dish as well for your kid, because they might be fussy? And can you do all of this after you come back from work, and then can you clean up afterwards? And can you, like, it's a lot, because before it was just that was the job of the woman back in the old days, right? They didn't have to go out and graft and grind as well, but now we've taken that on. But we also kind of have expectations a lot of the time from in-laws. It could be like, do you know what I mean? Like, as a woman, like, from in-laws, the expectation of, are you going to be looking after my son though? Like, you need to, you know, he likes to eat this, but he doesn't like it with this, so you got to make this differently. And you got, do you see what I mean? It's a lot. So there's, we also have the expectations on the family side of things, which are still quite traditional and old school. And I think living up to that can be very difficult. Like, I'm not being funny, I'm 23, yeah? I live at home, which isn't uncommon for an Asian anyway, of my age, so that's not deep. I have a degree, I did work full-time, I now work part-time, and then part-time YouTube. So I've got 2 part-time jobs, you could say. I don't cook every day. I don't cook in general, actually. If you ask me right now, make like shak and rotli, right? You Gujis, you feel me? Like a full like traditional Indian meal, I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to do it. Don't get me wrong, I know how to do stuff, yeah? The difference is, okay, I'm just gonna put this out there. I know how to do stuff, but because of the life that I lead, I don't live by myself. I don't have a husband and kids that I need to like cook for. I live with my mum, right? So I don't need to cook. I don't have to cook. So I don't cook. Don't get me wrong, like, I've made a banging curry in the past, yeah? Like, don't get it twisted. You can't give me a list of like every traditional dish. Can I make all of them? No, I can't. I'm self-sufficient enough, but I can't do that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't do that and also live the life that I want to live. And I think that that is a lot of expectation on like the girls and the women of our generation nowadays as well. And let's say there was someone that genuinely couldn't cook. It would be like, she could be like a lawyer, she could have like her own place, all of this stuff. But if she can't cook, she can't cook. It's like so much expectation on a person, and it's a lot. It's so hard. It is so hard. Equally as if you were to get like a guy who says that they want to go into the creative field, if they want to be an artist, like that would be harder because they're a man. In Asian culture, like it would be harder because they have more of the burden to provide when you take into consideration family life and things like that for the future, their wife, their kids. So what I'm trying to say is there are so many different aspects to the expectations and the pressures that we have being brought up in the Western world but being Asian. And I think that we're actually very lucky because we have such a beautiful mix of 2 such beautiful cultures, and we are like a hybrid of the 2, and that's amazing that we are able to experience both of them. So many people can't say that they have experienced both, and that's something that we're privileged to have. Of course, it comes with its struggles, it comes with its difficulties, but it's also such a privilege, and we do need to recognize it in that way. It's just hard to manage it and learn how to control it and how to live with both and strike that balance. But I think if you remember the people that are important to you, you also make sure that you always prioritize yourself, because no one else is going to do that. And you don't lose yourself. You remember not to lose yourself, but you also hold on to the morals and the values that you've been brought up with and the ones that you truly believe. Then you can't go wrong. It's hard, and sometimes like hard and difficult conversations will have to happen with people that you love to be able to allow yourself to do that. But I do think that you need to sometimes weigh it up as well. What are your priorities? What will make you the happiest? And that's what you need to follow. So I have been talking for a very, very long time. It was just a big topic. I couldn't really condense it, but thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that this kind of struck a chord with you guys. Please tell me if you feel like you gained something from this video, because it would really mean a lot to me to know that this has done something like that. And if you want to see more, let me know. Tell me what topics you want me to cover, and girl, I'll be on it for you. So just let me know. But thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all so much. Stay positive, stay creative, stay true to yourself. I love you, and I will see you next time. Mwah. Bye guys.